Organized money.
Hello, organized money fans. So this is the time of year where Matt and I sometimes go on vacations, and when you're listening to this, I will be on one. And Matt has also been out, but we decided to look at an interesting race that definitely involves issues around monopoly power and competition policy, and that's in Nebraska, which certainly has not been a bastion of liberal thought for the last several years or populist energy, although it has historically been a place. It's the home of William Jennings Bryan, for example, and has been a populist and kind of blue collar state. So 2 years ago, an independent candidate named Dan Osborn ran for the U.S. Senate. He's a union organizer. He was a steam fitter at the time, and he ended up running against the incumbent Republican Deb Fischer and lost by 6 points, I believe, and outperformed Kamala Harris in the state by about 15 points or 14 points, something like that. And he's come back again. He's running against the other senator from Nebraska. His name is Pete Ricketts, and he is the scion of a billionaire who put together TD Ameritrade, which is a large stock trading firm. And also the family owns the Chicago Cubs. So you have a mechanic against a billionaire in this race. And I happened to be in Omaha in April, and I got to sit down with Dan Osborn, talk to him about the differences between this race and the race that he ran 2 years ago, and also some of the core issues that he's talking about in this election, which is, going up against a billionaire, and how people in Nebraska are receptive to his policy ideas, which are strongly pro-labor and strongly anti-monopoly. And so we recorded this interview, and it's a one-on-one between me and Dan. And why don't you go listen to it right now on Organized Money?
Organized money.
So I'm wondering what you learned from your first run that's helped you prepare for this one.
Yeah, well, I learned how corrupt politics actually is. You always read in the articles and you see everything that happens on TV and print, but living it's pretty cutthroat. But yeah, and I learned from the people side of it, going out and talking to countless number of Nebraskans, everyday Nebraskans. We're not as divided as the media leads us to believe.
Right.
I love football, and baseball, so I always relate analogies to them. But our politics in DC are operating from their end zones, when most of the people who vote are somewhere in the 40-yard lines, right, whether you fall off to the left or to the right. But people right now are exhausted, even in households, fathers and sons and mothers and daughters losing relationships over politics. It shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I talked to Mike Gage a little bit, who told me they have a few union members that are preparing to run for the state legislature, 28. Do you feel like you've kind of started something here with people coming from labor getting into the halls of power?
I think so. Just because, we've gained a lot of attention in the press, and, in my stump speech, it's about this country and in the fact that in America, a mechanic can beat a billionaire, right? Like this is the foundation of our democracy, is the American dream, and that can be attained by anyone. You don't have to come from royalty. This isn't a caste system, so
it's not supposed to be anyway.
It's not supposed to be, right? But there are people who definitely wake up every day and try to make it that. But it's still not there, and I want to prove that.
Right.
And I think just for how we were able to perform coming out of nowhere with just an idea, like I said in the talk, that working people deserve a seat at the table in D.C.
Right.
There's been other people around the country. I think Seth Bodner in Montana, Bill Hill in Alaska.
Do you talk to those guys?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There's been some others. I mean,
so you got sort of an informal network going.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
People that are sick of party politics and the way things are done, and it's not working for working families, because Deb Fisher spent $14 million just calling me a Democrat.
Right.
Ricketts will probably spend $50 million of his own money on the same message because it's effective.
Right.
But here's the reality of the situation. I'm a lifelong independent from the time I could vote. But you have this pendulum that swings in DC politics, and right now it's on the Republican side.
Right.
And then eventually it'll swing back, and I'm 50 years old, so about half of my life, a good portion of it anyway, Democrats have enjoyed the same thing that Republicans do right now, executive, House, and Senate. My healthcare still sucks. You know what I mean? Like all of these things that they say they're going to do, neither side gets them done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're 250 years into this American experiment, and I think we need to branch out and try something different, because I think it's at the apex right now of the divide, and that's where I come in.
So I'm wondering what you're hearing from voters this time, and if it's any different than what you were hearing 2 years ago.
Yes, obviously Trump and Harris were at the top of the ticket, Biden for a while.
Right.
And so a lot of it revolved around talking about the president. It was unavoidable.
Right.
And everybody wanted to know who I was going to vote for.
Right.
Everybody's always trying to put me in a box.
Right.
And I don't fit in a box. But what we're hearing now is, again, Democrats have had control, and now Republicans have control, and our healthcare system's in jeopardy, our rural healthcare system's in jeopardy. So what we're hearing now is being able to focus more on policy and bad policy in particular, whether that's a sweeping tariff policy that's hurt agriculture.
Right.
As well as, a lot of people are talking about the way to fix a lot of these things is they're starting to see, and maybe that's because I'm always pumping out the message, is antitrust and anti-monopoly laws as a way to break up these monopolies. You can point to any industry that the person's working in, and you could talk about how it's been consolidated.
Right. Right.
And relating that back as part of the solution.
Mm-hmm.
But what they are feeling right now, the number one thing, the sense that I get, is they've lost complete faith in government as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And
is it the chore now, like, to get them to believe and to get them to vote for anyone?
Yeah. Especially the young generation.
Right.
That's going to be, that's what we're putting a lot of focus on, is trying to figure out, because the young people, they don't care. They have a sense of nihilism right now that I don't know that we've ever had in this country for that age group.
Yeah.
And because I got kids in that age group.
Mm-hmm.
When they hear things like, and they understand things like being a first-time home buyer is 40 years old.
Right.
They're like, why should I do anything?
Right.
Just live my life and try to be as carefree as possible, and not paying attention to all this garbage that's going on in DC.
Right. But the statement is, you may not be interested in politics, but politics is interested in you.
That's it.
Let's go to tariffs, because that's kind of a tricky situation, because, I think you talk to labor folks, they say tariffs can be a tool to protect workers, but if they're not paired with investment, real industrial policy, it's more like a tax on imported goods.
Yeah.
So, and you talk about that. We talk about it being a tax. Is there a balance there? Like, what should be done on trade policy? And can tariffs be part of it?
I think it's give the power back to Congress. Like, so much,
right.
People are freaking tired of every time a president comes to office, doesn't matter who it is, put the name to it.
Right.
There's stacks and stats of executive orders.
Right.
That needs to be a thing of the past. You can't every 4 years just have everything randomly, again, that pendulum swing and get rid of all these, and now these are it.
Right.
Congress needs to take back the power from the executive branch. That's
particularly on tariffs where it was given to them in the Constitution specifically.
Yes. And in the Constitution specifically, that's literally their job, is to be checks and balances on the executive branch. But they just seem to let it all go willy-nilly.
Right.
And so specifically with tariffs, I think that's how we do it. Get more level heads behind and more minds behind actually what a good tariff policy looks like. But I do know sweeping anything doesn't work. And that even goes to, I think, a national minimum wage. I don't think you could just have a sweeping national minimum wage, because then overnight you're putting small town plumbers out of business because they can't afford to pay their people.
Right. Okay.
But like a company like Tyson, that's what it should be designed for. It should be for corporations who have X amount of employees. They have whatever industry code that they have, whether it's manufacturing or something.
You think it should be sectoral like that, or should it be by the cost of living in a particular state?
I think it can be both.
It can be both. Okay.
Yeah, I think there's got to be a formula in there to where when you register your corporation, what type of corporation are you? Are you a mom and pop coffee shop, even in Omaha, where cost of living is higher, but you're pretty much employing high school kids?
Right.
Like, should they be making $25 an hour? Probably not. Right. Because they're going to put them out of business.
Right.
So it doesn't make any sense. You still have to protect small businesses. Mm-hmm. When I was out in Elba, Nebraska, talking to a small business owner, they asked me what my stance was on minimum wage.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm of the school that people need to make a wage where they could live.
Right.
And he was like really proud of the fact that he pays his plumbers a good standard for where they're at.
Right.
But he's like, if there's this national wage that comes in, or even a state wage that comes in, and I have to pay that, I go out of business.
Right.
And that was like the light bulb over my head. I'm like, well, yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that's the same with tariffs. LBJ had a very robust tariff policy, and then he started to dial a lot of them back, but he targeted ones like around the auto industry.
Right.
And, if you talk to Sean Fain, he'll tell you that's why the trucks on the road right now are still all Ram, Ford, and Chevy.
Right. Right.
And you can attribute that to a successful tariff policy.
Right. There you go. All right. I know we should probably start talking about monopolies because you kicked me off. The states have started picking up where the federal government has left off. We just this week had the case against Ticketmaster. The verdict was that they're a monopoly. Justice Department tried to settle the case. Nebraska's AG joined the settlement. Bipartisan group of states, Texas, Tennessee, all kinds of states, red states, blue states, kept the case going. They won a guilty verdict. Do you think that says something that was, that it came from the states and that they would take on that issue? How important is that? That
speaks volumes.
Right.
Yeah, because I think I'm a federalist. I believe states' rights.
Right.
And I think a smaller government is a better government. Right now, our government is so freaking inflated that, we're working against ourselves in a lot of regards. People don't want government mandates. Mm-hmm. They don't. And I think the rest of the country could take some notes from the way we do things here in Nebraska. We have a nonpartisan one-house unicameral started by George Norris, the last independent senator from Nebraska, so I'm hoping to follow in his footsteps. But when we go to vote for a state senator, there's no letter next to the name.
Yeah.
And then, but the design is, there is two houses. One is the Senate, but the other is the people. That's the second house. And so we have a tremendous amount of ballot initiatives every year.
Right.
And which our state and federal delegation is actively fighting against the will of the people on two things. We voted in to legalize medical cannabis along with the Cannabis Commission.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what the governor has done with the Attorney General, with Ricketts' money behind all this, has stacked that commission to it hasn't gone anywhere. It's not going to move anywhere. They're not going to do anything. Here's the thing about that too: the industrial version of hemp.
Yep.
University of Nebraska has the most patents of anybody in the world around industrial hemp. They've created building materials that are fire resistant, that are lightweight bricks, mixtures for our concrete, for our roads, additives that would make it stronger and last longer. But yet we can't do it. And that other side of the coin on hemp is it's really good for the soil. It pulls nitrogen, it pulls heavy metals out of the soil. It's easy to grow. It's drought resistant. It's pest resistant. And this could be a huge cash crop for our farmers who are struggling right now.
Right. Well, let's get into farming because I know you're passionate about those issues, taking on special interests. And what are some of the... That ties
right into monopolies.
Exactly.
The inputs for farmers are all bought from monopolies. Syngenta, which is Chinese owned, which should be illegal for a foreign entity to own 100% of a company in the United States. I think we should follow what Thailand does. I had a buddy that wanted to go buy a bar over there and retire.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, I can only be a 49% owner in Thailand of a business. I'm like, oh.
Same with
the
house, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Farangs live in these high rises.
And I was thinking that would be an America First agenda. Right? That would be a good America First policy.
Right.
Is no foreign takeovers of our corporations and our properties and our land.
Right.
And so that would help curb a lot of this, what's happening right now. But yeah, so their seed and their fertilizer and John Deere.
Yeah, they had that crappy settlement the other day.
Yeah, it fell way short.
Yeah.
It was a memorandum of understanding that falls way short of any right to repair law that has teeth.
Right.
It's garbage.
Yeah.
And now you throw in fuel and you throw in the fact of this Iran war.
Yeah.
I was talking to a row crop farmer who farms 1,900 acres. And he said his inputs for fertilizer, because it's an anhydrous, which is just compressed natural gas, which the natural gas is coming from Iran, is $50,000 more than it was going to cost him without this war.
Wow.
$50,000 more for 1,900 acres. And I said, dude, are you going to go broke? He's like, well, we're trending that way. He's like, I've been doing this a long time, so I'm okay. But a lot of the younger kids, they're going to have to go get loans to fertilize their property. And now what we're going to see is what we're already seeing a trend of agriculture bankruptcies have gone up 46% in 2025. That's going to keep going.
Yeah.
And this is family farms and ranchers.
Yes.
So what's happening with all these people filing for bankruptcy? Consolidation of ag.
Right.
More consolidation, more monopolies, private equity. And that's not the way that's not America.
Yes.
If you're a young kid coming out of high school, or you graduated even college with a agronomy degree or something like that, or botany, and you want to go be a farmer, I don't know how you can.
Right.
Nobody's going to give you a loan for the cost of that everything is to buy the land and start your business.
I remember for my book, I talked to a guy, Clear Lake, Iowa, longtime farmer, several generations, came over from Denmark or something. They were farming there and then came to Iowa farming here. His daughter had to get a job at a Best Western. And he was talking to her one day, and he said she was having a tough day, and was telling him about his day, and then she starts crying, and he's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And she goes, "All I wanted to do was farm. It's like I'm dealing with this shit on my other job, and all I wanted to do was farm, and I can't do it anymore." And it's like
that's a story that's told over and over and over again, through Nebraska,
and it's not just about price. It's not just about if it's a worthwhile enterprise. It's about, I have talents, I have skills. There's something I want to do. I can't do it. Yeah. It's like my liberty's being taken away. Yeah.
So what are the dominoes? The dominoes are agriculture suffers, Main Street USA starts to suffer, or Main Street Nebraska starts to suffer, businesses close, people move.
Right.
And the only people left to pick up the pieces are the people that have the money to be able to do it.
Right.
And that is what the trend is. And so that is politics, right? Whether you like politics or
absolutely,
not.
Yeah.
That's.
I'm wondering how you get people to think about this stuff, because like you mentioned private equity. Mm-hmm. So that's something that's a little mind-bending for people to try to understand.
I'm still trying to understand.
Right. Like, how do you get to people to figure out, like, this is what these people do and this is why it hurts you? Like, how do you tell that story?
Well, I basically I don't try to get to technical jargon with people.
Sure.
It's more of a top line, but coming from me as somebody who collects a paycheck every week, I know how much comes in, I know how much goes out, and I understand 8 hours work for 8 hours pay.
Right.
Coming from that type of space and that's the way I've lived my life.
Right.
And then asking them questions and learning about their trials and tribulations.
Right.
I don't go to them. If I'm talking to farming town hall settings, I'll always talk about this in my stump speech.
Right.
And I think I have a solution to all of it. Easier said than done, but we always talk about the consolidation. That's in my stump speech. So I feel like if there's 80 people in the room and nobody knew about John Deere and right to repair, now they do.
Right.
And knowledge is power, right? And so I feel like it's my job to go out and be somewhat of an educator on these issues. And not only just everybody can name the problems, everything's too expensive.
Right.
Well, that's a big statement.
With affordability, it's like everyone's using that word and nobody knows what it means.
Yeah.
Right.
It's different to every single person.
Right. So how do you talk
about
it?
It's the beauty of Make America Great Again. What the fuck does that mean?
Right.
It's definitely going to mean something different to the black woman who's a fire chief than it's going to mean to Colleen, right? Like, it's that's what they're really good at, is boiling things down to be able to stick it on a bumper sticker and be like, oh yeah, it's a movement.
So when you say everything's more expensive, affordability is a problem. Like, how do you get your way in to talk about that as more than just a slogan?
Well, my family. I just related to my family.
Right.
I'm, and running for office, I mentioned this is my last day.
Yeah.
At Grunwald Mechanical. There's a real possibility at the end of this that I lose my house in all this. This is why that statistic, less than 2% of people in House and Senate come from working class. That's why. Because you have to be a self-funder. Look at the way the DCCC recruited in 2024.
Right.
Lawyer, college professor, business exec, lawyer, right?
Right.
They want somebody who's going to be able to fund, or at least have a network of people that can fund for them. Steamfitters, plumbers, carpenters, lunch ladies.
Right.
It's fundamentally harder to do so. So
you relate it to yourself.
I relate it because that's all I can. I have to walk past the B file, and that's what I tell people. Like, it is too expensive.
Yeah.
And that all goes back to the control of the meat packers.
Yeah.
And the monopoly that they have formed. They dictate to the rancher what that they're going to pay for, and then they dictate to us what we have to pay for it. They have a complete vertical integration system, and now Walmart's in the game too.
You've made corruption like one of your major issues, right? I mean, and there's an environment for it. It's not just Trump. We've seen the Epstein files come out, and just, on all sides, it just seems like it's a moment for that. Do you see that? Because that's also sort of a processing issue. like there's a lot of corruption. You have to explain it. It's a little difficult for people. Do you see that resonating for voters? And what is the way that you get in, and what do you want to do on corruption?
So this is why people have lost faith in government. Where I don't have polling data in front of me, but I think if you polled people, most people will tell you DC is broken, the government is broken, like it is complete corruption right now. Whether it's Trump's meme coins or families enriching themselves now with this two House people, the sexual abuse allegations and even rape, and like, oh my God, like it's just consistent over and over and over again. I'm exhausted. I think most people I talk to, they're just exhausted. And God, who was I listening to today? Jon Stewart. I saw like the president of the United States is the one who's supposed to age while in office, not the people. And I'm like, man, I feel that. I totally feel that, because it is exhausting waking up every day trying to keep up with the craziness in DC.
Yeah.
But the way to fix it is, I mean, obviously easier said than done. But the Supreme Court ruling in 2010, Citizens United, it's about the money. It's always about the money. Getting the money out of politics. When it costs $100 million to run for U.S. Senate last cycle, Texas, Montana was even more. Ohio was more than that per candidate. Like, that's $1 billion for the presidency of the United States. Like, this is completely out of control spending. And the fact that you have all these dark money entities, and then you have people like Elon Musk and Bezos that can give $300 million in the form of Citizens United to a campaign, independent expenditure. Like, that's another thing that I always try to educate when I go out as Citizens United, and the money in politics. And that is the most important issue of every single generation alive. Issue that generation hasn't been born yet.
It's the issue that deals with every other issue.
It deals with
every if you can't get the money out, you can't fix healthcare. Farming, immigration, whatever.
Because if you want to work in DC, you have to take their money, and if you take their money, you have to do their bidding. You know, it's who controls. It's the marionette. It's the puppet. They're the puppet master.
And it's like there's innovation in this. You talk about stock trading, and obviously that's an important issue. But now there's websites like Polymarket or whatever, where you can just bet on, will the U.S. attack Iran? You can just bet on that. It's a hell of a lot easier than figuring out what stock's going to benefit. You can just say, hey, here's the thing. If we do the thing, and I found out about it, and I make an anonymous account, Jimmy26, I can just do that.
Account in the Caymans or something.
Yeah, it's all crypto based. It's all completely crypto based and not traceable.
That's why crypto just gave Pete Ricketts $300,000 for an IE spend.
Oh, they did.
They sure did this week. So the negative ads are coming.
Yeah,
the dark money ads. So it's the money in politics. It's campaign finance reform, and it's also in conjunction with stock trading bans, and also the fact that if you are an elected official and you've been voted out or termed out, whatever it is you did, it should be illegal for you to go be a lobbyist.
Right.
We have to take the teeth away, we have to take the power away from the lobbyists and the special interests.
Right.
So you're left with people who want to be public servants because they want to serve the people.
Yeah. What do you think about the war? If you were in Congress, it's another thing where it's the executive branch and the presidency taking the initiative, where Congress isn't, when Congress has the power of the purse and the power to declare war.
Here's the deal. The president has war powers, as well as he should, because we live in a time, and we've always lived in on this planet, where you just never know. And, his number one job, regardless of who's in office, is to protect its citizens from an imminent threat.
Right.
Was Iran an imminent threat?
Yeah.
No, it was not. And the fact that I've seen the videos that people have made of Netanyahu and Trump saying, or especially Netanyahu in particular, saying, "Oh, they're like 2 weeks away."
Yeah, for 40 years.
2 months. Yeah. Exactly, for 40 years. And I'm like, man,
right.
I am not the sharpest tool in the shed, but it's pretty obvious what they're trying to do here and what they've always been trying to do. And should Iran have a nuclear weapon? No, of course not. Right. But we were engaged with the Iran nuclear deal that we got out of. Like, why don't we just make that better? Why not continue with diplomacy?
Right.
And I tend to think it's defense contractors need to keep making bombs. They get old.
Meanwhile, there are a lot of people, especially around here, where you talk about the farm economy paying the price, not just in fuel, but with fertilizer, with all these other components and inputs.
Not to mention how many of us have family members over there. I got a nephew in Qatar whose base has been bombed multiple times.
Wow.
And, it's families like mine who are going to go fight these wars, not families like Ricketts.
Right.
But again, so going back to the War Powers Act.
Yeah, sure.
You should be able to have what you need as a president of the United States in 2 weeks to start a defense of whatever's happening in the world.
Yeah.
And that seems realistic. As fast and as mobile as we are right now, always having assets around the country, having bases around the country, around the world.
Right.
At any given moment, you can react, and you shouldn't need longer than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then it should be, okay, Congress needs to step in, and Congress needs to move quick too. They can't lollygag around this and keep having votes. Meanwhile,
from my experience, just seeing what Congress does, they're much happier being mad that a president is going to war than having to do something about it.
Yeah, that could be a good reason why I got voted down.
Okay, I'm going to let you go.
Organized money.
I really appreciated a lot of Dan's remarks. He's going to be going one-on-one against Ricketts just on May 12th. They had the primary election in Nebraska, and there was a lot of kind of dirty tricks going on where there was a plant in the Democratic primary, or someone who was called a Ricketts plant, who was an anti-abortion candidate who took a GOP candidate seminar. But he was in the Democratic primary, and the critics said that they were hoping for him to win that nomination, so he'd be a Democrat on the ballot and therefore take votes away from Dan Osborn. But the state Democratic Party kind of sniffed that out, put their own candidate on the ballot, or that candidate went on, a woman named Cindy Burbank, and she crushed this Ricketts plant and summarily dropped out of the race. So it is going to be a one-on-one between Osborn and Ricketts, and I think he has a real shot. The last poll I saw had him up 5 points, and it would be a really different and new voice in Washington, one that comes directly from the working class, which is very rare. Someone who's seen the issues surrounding concentrated corporate power in his own life through being a union organizer, through living in Nebraska, a big agricultural state, and seeing all the agricultural monopolies and what they do there. And he's really emphasizing that in his campaign. And I think it's a real opportunity to see if a populist can win in a red state, running on a message that is very suited to the current populist moment. So, I think it's going to be really interesting. And, there hasn't been a ton of talk about it, but it's a critical race considering that control of the U.S. Senate it really comes down to just a handful of contests, and this is one of them. So, I hope you enjoyed this discussion, and we'll be back next week with another episode. So thanks for joining us.
Organized money.